They all operate in the United States and the United Kingdom and Europe, and they all share certain characteristics that raise serious questions about foreign influence in democratic, particularly democratic Western nations. The most shocking allegations that you may or may not know. And these aren't actually allegations, these are documented historical facts proven in court. And you knew this was coming, didn't you? The Anti-Defamation League surveillance operation from the 1950s through to 1993. According to FBI documents obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests and court records from 1993, the ADL operated an extensive domestic surveillance network for approximately 40 years. And we're not talking conspiracy theory territory here. This was exposed by San Francisco police raids in 1993 and documented in federal and state investigations. Here's what the court records show. The operation centered around an Anti-Defamation League operative named Roy Bullock, who used the code name Cal. According to the documents, Bullock's network collected information on over 12,000 individuals in more than 950 organisations. The targets weren't just extremist groups. They included the NAACP, the ACLU, the American Indian Movement, United Farm Workers, Greenpeace, and numerous Arab American organisations. But where it gets particularly concerning, especially from a law enforcement perspective, the operation involved corrupted police officers who provided confidential DMV, that's the Department of Motor Vehicles, records and intelligence files. That's not advocacy, that's intelligence gathering using illegally obtained law enforcement databases. According to the documents, when the FBI investigation threatened to expose this relationship, Israeli officials intervened directly. A secret FBI memo from March 29, 1993 states that two persons, described as Israeli generals, are in or about to travel to Washington to press for an end to the FBI's investigation. These are court documents, remember, and if the FBI files are accurate, and they do appear to be, as they are part of an official legal proceeding, we're looking at a private American organisation that maintained intelligence sharing relationships with a foreign government, used corrupted law enforcement officials to access restricted databases, and targeted American civil rights organisations for surveillance. The question isn't whether it happened. The court records show it did happen. The question is, why wasn't anyone prosecuted under the Foreign Agents Registration Act? So, the ADL has stated these operations were focused on tracking anti-Semitism and extremist groups, which is their legitimate mission. That's what they are there for. They've characterised the surveillance as necessary to protect Jewish communities from hate groups. The legal settlements that ended the investigations didn't include any admissions of wrongdoing, and no criminal charges were filed. The ADL maintains that their activities were within legal bounds and focused on legitimate civil rights work. However, the documented intelligence sharing with foreign agencies and the use of corrupted police sources raise serious questions about whether those explanations cover all the activities revealed in the court records. Right, let's get into explicitly political operations, because if you're going to assess whether an organisation is a foreign influence operation, you need to look at their political activities. Are they genuinely focused on their stated mission, or have they become partisan political operations? So the ADL political donations. According to the Federal Election Commission records cited in the documents, the ADL's political donations show stark partisan patterns. 2024, $144,000 directly to the Democrats, 100%. Partisan patterns. 2024, $144,000 directly to the Democrats, 100%. 2022, $4,102 directly to the Democrats, 100%. 2020, $377,000, 99.81% to the Democrats. And 2018, $6,179 directly to the Democrats, 100%. Plus a further $1.4 million in lobbying expenditures. Now, for context, the ADL would argue they're donating based on which candidates support civil rights and oppose anti-Semitism. But that's not their fault. These candidates happen to be almost exclusively Democrats. And that might well be a legitimate argument. Under CEO Jonathan Greenblatt's leadership since 2015, the ADL has experienced dramatic financial growth. 2015 it was approximately $50 million's worth. 2022 it was $105 million in revenue. $100 million capital campaign launched in 2017 raised over $75 million. Corporate funding sources include Apple, Uber, MGM Resorts, Starbucks. The organisation spent $1.4 million on lobbying in 2024. What's particularly interesting about the ADL's financial structure, they don't fully disclose donor identities. We know some corporate supporters, but we don't know the full funding picture. Given the documented intelligence sharing relationships with Israeli agencies, the question is, do any funding sources have foreign government connections? If you're taking political positions that align 99 to 100% with one political party, while maintaining documented intelligence sharing relationships with a foreign government, doesn't that look like foreign influence operations? Advancing a specific partisan political objective? You tell me. What do your spidey senses say? In October 2025, FBI Director Kash Patel severed the Bureau's decades-long partnership with the ADL, describing the organisation as a political front masquerading as a watchdog. Patel specifically accused the ADL of spying on Americans and referenced the 1993 surveillance scandal. This is significant because it represents the FBI's official assessment that the ADL no longer functions as a legitimate civil rights organisation suitable for law enforcement partnerships. And whether you agree with that assessment or not, it's a dramatic institutional break.